Yes, yes. I think we're live. I think we're going. So welcome to a special stream today. Got a couple of guests, well, one regular. Fraser, how you going?
Hello. Good, good.
And we've also got Zebedee. How are we doing?
Hello? Yeah, getting by.
That's good to hear. And we're going to talk about the design and development of a game that you both were involved with designing and building, along with a couple of other people as well.
Yes, yeah,
team?
three others.
So we've got the itch.io page here. So it is available, publicly available on itch.io if you want to check it out. So at crowddisciple.itch.io /deep climb. Yeah, so it will be available there. It is available there. And this is the page, which you can see. So, I don't know, maybe does someone want to give us a bit of a background on the development, the ideas behind the game, maybe the initial ideas, before we jump in and start playing?
Yeah, Zeb, did you want to take that, or should I take the lead on that?
Oh, you go ahead. This is your territory to start off with.
Sure. So, I mean, like most of the projects we've worked on, it started with quite a bit of collaborative brainstorming, trying to come up with an idea that we were interested in, that we thought we could make turn into a game with a scope that was manageable. And so, yeah, that led us to the idea, my fear of the deep ocean, thalassophobia, sort of inspired by games like Subnautica for the theme, but then we also took cues from that in the navigation of it, and then decided to incorporate some of the challenging gameplay principles from precision platformers, so games like Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy or Jump King, and taking those into that first-person perspective. So yeah, we ended up with this underwater precision platformer, first-person, difficult / unintuitive movement mechanics.
Right. So a combination of a couple of different games there, a couple of different genres, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Nice. So maybe I should jump in. Should we jump into it? Is that the best way to go? I've got it here,
Yeah,
so we can
so.
we can. Maybe also how long did it take to develop? Another question.
So
how much time did you spend developing it?
Sorry.
So the time we were allotted was over 2 trimesters at uni, so that's what, 6 months with a 3-week break in the middle. So that's sort of
4 weeks, more or less.
Yeah, that's like the time window we had. How much time we actually spent working on it, I don't even know how to approximate that number. It was a mix of some very busy weeks with some very relaxed weeks.
So it was 2 12-week trimesters. So we're kind of talking two times 3 months, kind of roughly. And then the size of the team. Obviously, there was you two.
Yeah, and then so for the first half we had 3 additional, so 5 total, and then we lost 1 for the second half, so down to 4 total.
Right. So 5 and then 4, and I think the one you lost was an artist, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3D artist, and
3D artist.
It meant that we needed to get a little creative with how we were utilizing our 3D assets for the second stretch of development.
Okay, so sounds good. So that's interesting to know. So it was, and I'm pretty sure the first 3 months you spent on it was not as intense as the second. Am I correct there?
I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think they were just intense in different ways. Yeah, I think the first stretch of it was very much about that whole collaborative thinking, getting onto ideas that we really like, and getting all of our foundations as concrete as possible. And then for the second stretch, it was much more about keeping the cogs in motion and landing on something polished that we were really happy with. So it was a similar amount of difficult, a similar amount of involved, but sort of different each time.
Well, it sounds like the first section was we could call it pre-production. Would that be correct?
It'd be quite fitting.
Be quite fitting, right? So
I think you of all people could say that. Yes.
12 weeks of pre-production followed by 12 weeks of building and testing. Correct?
Yeah, lots of testing.
And you went through
Yeah.
an iterative process in the second 12 weeks. Maybe describe that. Just the development process you went through.
Yeah, so I believe that was we sort of had three main playtesting sessions planned out through the 12 weeks, and so we use those as sort of milestones, which really heavily favored that sort of iterative prototyping. The first milestone we came across, we got to test our ideas and our assumptions and found that they really didn't align with the player experience.
Mm-hmm.
And to be specific about that, it was how we intended to teach our mechanics and tutorialize things.
Mm-hmm.
We made assumptions about how easily a player could understand the controls, and when we playtested, we found that it was far more difficult than we had anticipated, which really shifted our structure. But having those set milestones worked well because it meant after that first playtesting session, we could regroup, discuss, and come up with a new goal for the next one. And so that led to a more explicit tutorial for our mechanics. And we then got to see how much more effective having an explicit tutorial was, but also what parts of the tutorial worked and what parts didn't. And so then by the third playtesting milestone, we were able to refine that even further. So kind of a really good example of iterative design, I think.
Maybe we should jump into the tutorial now, and we can kind of maybe explore that a little bit as well, because I think that's a really important part. Now, I should, for clarity, say that I was teaching the units that you were doing when you developed this game as well. So I'm kind of familiar with this, and I was also one of the testers involved. So just so there's some transparency there. But yeah, let's just jump in, and the tutorial part I can do. The actual, the game itself is quite difficult. So do we have footage for that, or am I going to have to struggle through it? We do.
We have footage for that.
I did upload some to YouTube, so I can drop that link.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'll drop it.
I mean, also the both of us have finished the current version of it countless times at this point.
Okay.
If that music's too loud, the settings should work. Let you turn it down. It just takes a little second to kick in.
Yeah.
I'd say it's maybe slightly easier than the Portal volume sliders that we had to deal with the other
Oh
week.
yeah, they were interesting.
That sounds like a story.
How are we going? Are we? Oh, save and okay, there we go. Alrighty, so this is a student game. So
Yeah.
let's have a look at what we've got here. But it's a pretty good student game. So we've got WASD. So if you if you're in any doubt and you didn't know how to play games, that's kind of telling us what we've got.
I was looking. We made a design doc for the tutorial, and very explicitly at the start, I've written: should players be expected to intuitively understand standard navigation controls?
I would say generally that's yes, but I think this is actually not a bad design decision, just in case. Just in case people are not sure. I think that's actually a nice, like, simple.
Of course.
Not too. You're not beating people over the head. On the other hand, I think is this changed? Because I tried to jump
from,
here.
Final.
Okay, so that's interesting. So, right, interesting. So I think this is kind of good because you're not holding my hand, but you are kind of getting me to say, hey, there's some mechanics here. Like, oh, okay. Without actually even telling me initially, which I think is kind of nice. You give me the opportunity to work it out for myself, which I think in games is always a great idea. So if I go...
Yeah, I would have loved if a lot of our mechanics could be taught in that manner, but through the playtesting we found that, yeah, a lot of our playtesters needed some more explicit instructions, which is how these question marks sort of came about.
Absolutely. So E to interact, question mark. Oh, here we go. Hold space to jump. Okay, I've already worked that one out. Power of the jump is turned by the length of time jumps being held. Yeah, holding on. Holding only jump. Space only, no, will perform an upward jump. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Continue. Right, so if I go... Oh, I do go forward a bit there. That's interesting. So if I just hold space...
So I guess for anyone watching, there are no air controls in the jump. So in most games, when you're in the air and you hold a movement direction, you will move slightly in that direction. Part of it being a precision platformer, we didn't want to have that feature. So when the player jumps, they move in a very standard arc, and they can't sort of adjust that unless they use one of their abilities, which will get tutorialized later.
And so this was very much a design decision for it to behave in that way, yeah? So I can't, I'm trying to move around now, I can't move around. Which is very Unreal. So this is in Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine normally allows you to do some air. Oh, I'm gonna. Usually, Unreal Engine by default allows you to do some air movement. So you just have these magical ability. There's a magical ability to move in air. So if I hold down W in space. Okay, so now here's the time when. Oh, I missed this one. Let me just check this one. Holding forward, W in jump is released to perform a forward jump, launching you forwards and slightly vertically. A forward jump will make the jump bar blue. Basic navigation will have no effect mid-jump. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's an important one to keep in mind. So if I hold down, the thing is, oh, I see. So when I do that, do I get to do that again? I do. Fantastic. So I get a couple of times to practice this one. All right. Now, do you want to maybe give us an idea of what this looked like? If you can cast your mind back to version 1, before you sort of did your testing and sort of worked out how dumb us players are. We don't know how your game works.
I should put some screenshots up somewhere, maybe, because
we've got them lying around.
Yeah, we do. So that first room you spawned in is actually a holdover from, I believe, the first version of the tutorial. And so, like I said, like that first version, it was very much under this impression that we could teach all the mechanics just through geometry and level design.
You don't happen to have an old build lying around handy, do you?
Not handy, but
not handy.
It is stored in the Git. It is recoverable. But yeah, it was just grey boxes. Everything was very low contrast, and it was basically just a level with no. Yeah, there was zero explicit tutorialization.
Right.
Even features. Like the second version, the intermediate version, looked more like this, but was lacking a lot of like the targets and the moving arrows and the key bindings.
Do you want to maybe explain, talking about that? So I'm just looking at the moment at that first one, the W plus space with the target. You know, maybe talk about the logic that went behind, or the thought process even that went behind that. And you've also got the little arrow coming up there, which I think is a fantastic addition.
Yeah, Zeb, did you want to take that, or do you want me to keep rambling?
Oh, sorry, I got distracted looking for an old build on my computer.
Oh, that's all good. I can keep talking. Yeah, so like I was saying, that intermediate version, we had the explicit text trying to tell players what to do, and then just the gap. And through that mid playtesting session, it was another case of we thought we had assumptions that it'd be enough for the player, and then through the playtesting we realized it wasn't. Things like the target for me, and there's often a little arrow for where you're meant to stand or where you can stand to jump from. Those sort of came after going through Portal, especially Portal 2 with their aerial faith plates. The idea that there is a symbology to show you exactly where, and using them consistently in the same for the same meaning. And then other than that, it was like, well, clearly we think this is more obvious than it actually is.
Yeah.
So we need to just come up with any way we can that will help guide the player. So animated arrow came up as an idea, and just straight up putting the key bindings there so you don't have to try and remember what was in the text.
Did you go
if I may
through?
wax a little.
Yeah, sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say, if I may wax a little, the thing I think we realized is that with making a game with a focus on unintuitive controls, is that you sort of need to acknowledge that people won't intuit things, and when they're not intuiting, you need to engage intuition.
Right. That's a very intuitive thing there. Yes, absolutely. So I was going to ask as well, did you go through iterations? Like, obviously right now, the things that I would say about the way that you're, and it's been quite a while since I've gone through this. I've been through this previously. But looking at it now, it's very non-intrusive while also being very effective. And I think that's a very challenging balance to get. So what we quite often may get is that it's kind of over the top and it's too much and it is very intrusive, or it's not enough. So I don't know whether that sort of requires more, or maybe we should sort of move on and have a look at other parts of it as well.
I can speak on that a little bit, because one thing that was really important to us with the different layers of the tutorial, with the button prompts, the targets, the moving arrows, and then the question marks, was that the question marks be optional. So many games have these really in-your-face tutorials. They'll give you these massive pop-ups, and especially if you're replaying something, just trying to get the hang of it again, those big pop-ups that you got to click through, they slow things down, and I know a lot of players get really frustrated with those walls of text to try to understand a game, and they're helpful. They're really helpful, here especially, but we wanted players to feel like that's a choice. They're going, okay, I want to understand the minutiae of this, and if they don't want to do that, they want to feel their way through it with the button prompts and the targets and the animated arrows, they are welcome to do that as well. So it was really important that that be a choice.
So we did go through Death Stranding a few weeks ago, and that's exactly, I've played it a few times, and my God, it just, you cannot skip things. It's just the worst example of that. Unfortunately, it's a game I really like, but don't get me wrong, but my God, it is so in your face. All right, so actually, I like this. So now it's like so we've gone through. You've given us a couple of sort of more handholdish sort of things, and now we have to do it on our own. I like that. So there's kind of reinforcement in learning. That's really good. Hey, jump tutorial complete. I am a winner. You can revisit the explanation text. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe allow me to choose when that one goes. So that's probably one of the things I would say.